Much better
I mean,
than. We need to
yeah.
listen.
Alright.
Getting better at doing that before, and not walking away from hitting that X at the end of the meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Mine says 6 o'clock.
His was a minute off earlier too, so.
It's just like, let's go.
See, you need to get,
This is
yours
the-
does, why would, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to why yours is the only one that's different.
There can't be any question. That's one of my jobs. We did what she said.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. We will call this April 7th Common Council meeting in order. If you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk Frederick Price, can you please call roll?
Kenny Meyer. Royal Warren.
Present.
Vince Pingery.
Present.
Aaron DeBro.
She will not be here.
Present.
Mary Yates.
Here. All right, very good. Thank you. The board has been presented with the March 3rd meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, any discussion, any additions, subtractions to the submitted March 3rd meeting minutes?
I have none.
All right, hear none. All in favor of approving the March 3rd Common Council meeting minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Very good. Department head reports have been submitted for review. Without objection, we will enter those into the record that's being received, unless you guys wish to speak of them.
Good.
Nope. All right, very good. We will enter the minutes that the common council members have received the department head reports. All right. All right, first item of business is going to be the Delphi Redevelopment Commission TIF report, and we have Mayor Worley, or previous Mayor Worley here to discuss those. She's the president of the Delphi Redevelopment Commission. I still call you that though, it's habit.
It's kind of fixed for life.
It does.
So,
Thank you.
this is kind of a nice report that, you present, and I guess it is now a requirement that this, be presented in advance of the,
Yeah.
yes, of what Julie has to submit to the state. Revenues for, 2024 were, $1,536. We spent a little over 44,000, leaving a year-end balance of 65,833 and a penny. The allocation areas are shown here with their revenue amounts. And the expenditures for those. I won't read through those, you have them in front of you. Certainly if you have any questions on any of them, be happy to attempt to answer them. Then the actual, on the second page, you have the actual expenditures that were made. Listing things. And then the third page is a description of the different allocation areas that we have for both residential tips and our Deer Creek tip and the northeast allocation area, which is project 218. On the final page is a listing of the numbers, and this is a report for 2024. Sandy Flora is included in that. She did step down at the end of the year or first part of this year. And has been replaced by Mike Temple. I guess, this is our number.
Joe.
So Betty Myers, Spencer King are appointments from the council. And Christina Langsdorf. Yours truly and Mike Tetchell for 2025. So the annual information for the tip allocation areas. It shows that there is only one outstanding debt allocation, and that is for the Front Street Apartments, the interurban apartments. And they have not drawn down much of that yet, which is a little surprising, but but it was a developer bond, so that is up to them as to when they choose to do that. And really the only amount that we pay on that is an annual fee to the firm that is, I think it's Huntington Bank that is responsible for that administering that loan. So that is the only area also that has an obligation now. So it is the only TIF, the Front Street apartment allocation area is the only one that has an expiration date, since that starts when the bond starts.
Is that still 25? Years
So
or 50?
it's in here somewhere. 2048, so it's
25, okay,
25 years
yeah.
from closing of its obligation. Okay, and that is pretty much the end of the report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. It's nice to finally get some money in our.
Yeah.
Yes, it
So, pardon me?
I'm just happy to get the report done.
Yes, I'm
Yeah, the original report that she received was a lot different than what we received from last year, so of course they'll probably change it again next year, right? So it was a
Yeah, seem to be making. Those will be
right.
this year. But yes, they seem to always find something to make life more interesting, right?
If that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
Thank you very
It was a little bit more challenging.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. All right, very good. Next item of business is going to be the contract that we received from the United States Department of the Interior. So the plan was I was going to present this at the commissioners meeting this morning. However, I was not on the agenda, so I will try to get, which works out fine. This contract is not technically due to be renewed till July, so we got plenty of time. But this contract was previously put in place by Mayor Evans in 2020. What this entails is the USGS data from the bridge out here by the stone quarry. If you're driving toward Monticello and you look to the right side, there's some equipment right at the very start that it's basically LiDAR that shoots down to the water and tells the depth. This helps Mike Fincher, the floodplain administrator for Carroll County, which is Mike Martin, turn high water events. We use this data to see what's coming, what's forecasted. They also have one at Oakdale Dam. They have them all over. So if you've never been on the USGS website, it's pretty interesting to see how quick they can do releases of water. So for us, obviously, we have Deer Creek, we have the Wabash, we have areas that's affected. So the county has split this between two ways, between the city and the county for, I don't know if it started before 2020, but I do remember Mayor Evans presented to the commissioners. So again, this is going to be something I present to the commissioners at the second commissioners meeting, which is in 2 weeks. Yep. So surprisingly, the contract cost actually went down. I was very surprised to see that from an agency within the federal government, but we're certainly not going to argue with that. But again, it'll be split two ways. I'll present this to the commissioners in 2 weeks. No action item needed on that. All right, next item of business is going to be the mowing contract and the conflict of interest form. Julie, you want to explain?
No, so every year we have our mowing contract for the Morning Heights Cemetery, that Craig Meyer has had. And so every year he has to give us an updated contract and we have to do a conflict of interest form. So he has already submitted that this year and has already been reported with the town clerk. So I just want to make sure that everyone in the council knows that that contract was submitted for the county. So I don't know if there is anybody who wants to make a change or if you want to stay with that, or so I just wanted to let you be aware that the contract comes up every year. So if there's a chance that you want to change something or put it out for bid or whatever, or if you would continue to like to have Craig do it, that he submits his contract every year and we do a conflict of interest for the SBOA.
Which we have submitted it.
Yes.
Yep, so. Any discussion? I guess so. If there's an action taken on this, we'll need a motion, but other than that, if we choose to leave it as is, I don't know that we need to.
The clerk's authority.
Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt to ratify it if you're
Sure.
inclined.
Yep. All right, is there a motion to continue with the current mowing contract? Which currently has been, the conflict of interest form has been submitted by Craig and submitted into the SBOA website.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, hear none, all in favor of approving the current mowing contract for. Gosh, I just went blank. Yeah, for the cemetery, Morning Heights Cemetery, and the current conflict of interest form to be submitted, which has already taken place, signify by stating aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Thank you. All right, next item of business is the Delphi Police Department taser contract and funding for newly proposed tasers. I believe we have Chief Mullen here to give you an update and to discuss.
Thank you. So it's nice to be in front of you again. This is a position I left back in 2020. But thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to serve our community, and I appreciate it greatly. So as you have taken a look at the project that we laid it out for you, Sergeant Deckard did a great job of detailing the contract that we want to get into. And I also want to give a shout out to Officer McClelland, who took a lot of time in trying to get this contract and the details worked out for us. The need for the tasers is extreme for our department. The police officers across the country depend on tasers and their use of force continuum to be able to do their jobs. And nonetheless, here at the city of Delphi. So as I think we spelled out in the document that the tasers that we currently have are now unserviceable. They are going to be unmaintainable with Axion. So that we need to move on to something different at this point. So spelled out a contract to purchase the newest taser, the X10s, which offered the latest technology and will get us through the next 5 years beyond with service through Axion or the producers of the tasers devices. So as it is spelled out here, we will make with the agreement that we cut out with Axion. They cut us a deal of about 12% off of their regular price that they would have. They're able to get them down to quite a bit less. So the total cost over the 5-year period of time from this year, next year to 2029 is roughly $61,000. I know it's a lot of money, but it's cheaper to buy the equipment that we need instead of finding ourselves in a situation where our devices don't work and we follow from them. So basically, what we would do at the beginning of this year, we would come up with the funds of actually about $3,088.52 to be able to get through it into next year. And what I've asked the the agent to do would be to provide us with a bill for next year in advance of the end of this year, so we can use whatever funds we have left over from the department to come to pay the following year. And in addition to that, whatever is left next year, we can do the same thing if we can do so, if you'll accept this. So it comes up to about $14,670 per year in order for us to meet this contract until the tasers are paid off. This is the best contract that we could come up with Axion. I hope you find that this is a situation which will improve the police department and also serve the citizens of our community well. Do you have any questions?
Are there any competitors that are
There are not.
equal to or?
Axion has the corner on the market right now. And I thought the same thing when I was looking at this contract. I know it's a lot of money, but the problem is there's nobody out there in the world of police products that's providing us anything like that. They don't know what creates it. Now, you might think someone between now and then may come up with something and it'd be a really good market for them. But you have to factor in as well, not only the fact that these are devices that are complicated, but also they're used in public safety. And so the very fact that they're used in public safety, the cost is going to go up, because of insurance and things like that.
When you say non-serviceable, is that?
It means that devices that we have right now, if they stop working, we have, I think, some that are at the end of their life, then we have no way to get them fixed. And so with those devices, if we don't have a way to service them, then we have no way to keep them operable.
Now, that 5-year cost, is that all encompassing? If anything goes wrong with these tasers, it's
Yes.
replacement?
Yeah.
Okay.
It only includes the cost of the tasers, also includes the training
Mhm.
and other devices that go along with it, so we can provide training to the officers.
What's the life of a taser?
Well, so far, the X2s, and especially maybe we would correct me on this, that the X2s have survived and done fairly well for many, many years. But as I said, these devices are unserviceable at this point, so the Taser 10s will get us 5 years and then beyond that.
We've had our X2s for quite a while, but they don't service them anymore. So we're gonna be in the same boat for the county for updating. And it's gonna cost us quite a bit more because we have more officers.
So is this the latest version they have? The reason why I'm asking that, I sell radios for Motorola.
Sure.
And the reason I'm asking that is a lot of them have a 5-year warranty. But a lot of times you sell something and all of a sudden it's out. So now it's, even though it's a new product, they've replaced it with something else.
Right.
So by the time your 5 warranty gets out, you're stuck right in the same boat again because they can't fix it.
It's kind of like a cell phone. You buy the newest version and then within a month it's,
So that's
Because
why
it-
I'm asking. It's the kind of the version.
It is. So
Yep.
it is the newest and latest version, provides the most concurrent capabilities of any devices that are out there.
Does it hurt if you get hit with it?
Yes.
I would-
actually, that's part of our, part of the, would you,
Well,
Alex, would you like to demonstrate one of the new ones? We have a volunteer.
There. It hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can test it hurts. Great deal. In fact, especially remember, I was actually the first person to be tased, police officer, in the training in Carroll County, so.
You see, you go first aid.
So would you like to revisit that with the new one just to make sure it's the same?
I still don't understand why we have to do that. I didn't have to get shot with a gun. I don't know why I had to get shot with a taser.
I'll have to go say with the Axon stuff, because I also look into the Axon stuff for our department. So even after 5 years, say the warranty's up after 5 years, Axon will actually, if they come up with an update, offer a heavily discounted for the new update if there is one. And they also will extend the warranty out. The problem that we ran into with the X2s is we've had them forever, longer than the 5-year warranty. This is before they had the massive contracts with them. And so now they will not buy them back because it's like 3 generations behind right now. So that's the problem we ran into. Well, that's what we're going to be running into, and that's what the city PD ran into, because they're not going to buy it back. So
What portion of the county uses the same taser so that, it'd be good for, like for our service weapons and for other items when we're all kind of and using the same stuff in case there's an event that we had to interchange, but it's a large portion use the Axion already, correct?
Actually, they all use Axion. Now, the county may decide to go with a different version of the taser. There's, I believe, the taser 7 or the X7 that's out now.
Yeah.
But it's an alternate for the taser 10. But there are other agencies that are going to the taser 10. I believe that the Conservation Department, I'm not sure about the state police, but there are other agencies that are moving on to the taser 10.
Oh, the 7's getting phased out too.
Yeah, so it's a,
The-
it's a
Taser 10 that you're looking at.
yeah, it's the brand new model,
It's
and
kind of-
it wouldn't really make any sense to go back to a 7 to where there's already a 3-year gap of updates and everything else, so. Very good.
Have you looked into where the money would come from by chance for the following years? I understand what we would encumber what we could
Well,
to pay for it, but I didn't know
right,
if
we
there
were
was.
looking at for equipment and supplies budget and then training budget to come up with the money to be able to meet those requirements per year.
Let's be,
Chief, did you say how long it would take to get them in and?
Oh, good question. So at this point, I've already been contacted by representative to begin the process for the training of the devices. And if once it's approved, we can get them here within, I believe, 30 days. I believe. So relatively quickly.
so it'd be a good time in May to show how they work, right? So Doyle, make sure you're here and, you know.
You got a healthcare provider here. You.
We'll make sure we're getting our money's worth.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you. All right, any further discussion from the board? None? All right, here none. Yep, go ahead.
Go and make the motion to approve the Axon contract for the taser 10s for the city of Delphi Police Department. Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the Axion contract for tasers for the city of Delphi. All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. Thank you, Chief Mullen, for great explanation of that. All right, next item of business is going to be the mayor assistant job description. So Marilyn has decided that 26 years was enough, and she's ready to retire at the end of April.
You came in and ran around.
So looking at the job description, which I apologize, I didn't get to you until a couple hours ago, but essentially what I did was, and Julia helped me look through it, and the last time it was updated was in 2008. So just small items that kind of entail what today's world brings to that position. So we'll be posting that here shortly, but her last day is going to be April 30th. So like anything else, the position entails a little bit different items than 2008. And I want to make sure that you guys were able to have eyes on it before I posted it to the public.
So it's gonna be for like somebody local, but she has to know a lot of people.
Well, it's going to be, it'll be open to when it gets posted, it'll go out to the public. So anybody can apply for it, but
I don't know if you eventually, but do you background check everybody, or do you?
no, I don't think we background check for
You don't.
certain positions. We do, obviously the police
Yeah.
department and code enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Your office, background check for your office.
I haven't. That's a good idea.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She felt
Honestly-
deserved by coming in this building.
Yeah. We
yeah,
could-
and that's,
We could have
that's,
them do it.
I think Alex
Two
and
that are in my office, though,
police department could help us.
Clerk's position, utility clerk position came from school. She had to have an extensive background check. So,
I guess I
yeah.
would recommend that you add that to the position description.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
subject to background.
Yeah, because it does say one of the first parts is confidential, just certain things that are confidential until a certain point. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. There wasn't a lot of changes other than I just felt since 2008, it needed a few minor updates. And like I said, we'll be posting that here within a week or so. So any further discussion on the newly updated mayor's assistant job description? No? All right, here none, all in favor of approving the. Oh, yes, that's what, is there a motion to approve the City of Delphi Mayor's Assistant, Admin Assistant job description
With the addition of background.
with with the addition of the background check, which I will change that tomorrow and submit to you guys so you can see where it's at on.
I'll make the motion that we approve this, the newly updated background or, oh my God, job description with the background check requirement into it. Second,
Was gonna say.
gotta be quicker than that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Next item of business is going to be the Police Department Rule 171, which I'll let Julie, we have Julie, Chief Mullen and Alex here to explain the reasons why we are looking to make some changes on the 171 rule, which I was not aware of
It is a
until.
nightmare. Okay, so it is, the 171 rule applies only to our police department. Like their first 3 hours of overtime actually isn't according to the 171 rule. So in order to be able to drop that and do a better, like smoother transition and pay process for the police department, we just have to have board approval to be able to do that, to be able to drop it. So there's math involved with overtime hours and it's just a hot mess. We have been trying to, it would be so much better for our record keeping and bookkeeping and payroll if we can just drop that 171 rule. Because like I said, the first 3 hours of their overtime is not considered overtime if this 171 rule is regular pay. I don't know why it falls under that, but it's just the way it does it. So it would just be easier to be able to streamline it if we drop the 171 and do our payroll like we do with the rest of. So that they actually have their comp times, their all that stuff in there without the 171.
That rule says no overtime after 3 hours.
It doesn't, no, the first 3 hours of their overtime because of the 171 rule, because there's a math equation for it. And they get paid every other week for their overtime. It's just one of those things that would.
So they still get paid overtime. It's just how it's worded.
Yes,
correct.
they are,
It's overtime, but the first 3 hours are at a straight time rate compared
Right.
to after, on that 4th hour is when you go into the overtime
Right.
bracket instead of being straight time pay.
The county for us. if we-
I'm curious to why that was even a item that was put in for.
Don't shoot. I don't know.
are you, Spencer, are you guys still on the 171?
So we do, ours is, so we have to physically work 86 hours before we jump into overtime. So that from 84 to 86, that 2 hour is straight time pay. And then that's every pay period. That's every pay period. So once we hit the 87, that 87th hour is considered overtime.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chief Mullen or Sergeant Parkinson, do you have anything to add to the?
I would add this, I think anything we can do to help the police officers would add to our community. We're always looking for recruitment. This is another item we can use for recruitment. As we fill the positions that we have that come up. So, you know, the officers are looking for those people who we are looking to recruit, are looking for benefits. And I think this would be a nice thing to do. Would cause less trouble for Julie and the clerk's office. And it would be beneficial to the police department.
Okay.
So everything after 84 hours you're wanting to do as the overtime rate, whether it be compensated as pay or comp time, but it'd be at an overtime rate, the 1.5 hours afterwards, right? Is that what I'm getting?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's not based on an 8 hour day or something.
No.
No,
It's a
All
12
that
hour.
Yes.
Correct. And they work the
12-hour shift.
12-hour shifts, 2 on, 3 or 3 on, 2 off.
Yes.
Yep, rotating schedule, which it didn't used to be that way. So that's what, I don't know that there's very many departments that don't run the A, B shifts.
There's just
Yep,
about every
so,
department I'm aware of, with the exception maybe administration who works that.
Sure.
Shift where they work 12 hours.
Yep.
Just like we described.
I reached out to Amanda, who does a lot of the payroll, or, a lot of the payroll, and she was ecstatic that we was even putting this on an agenda. So that tells you the headaches that it includes with the clerk's office.
I reached out to other clerk treasurers and they said that some of their departments have also dropped the 171, just streamline things for the officers and for the clerk's office.
Do we even know where that rule came from?
That's what I was asking earlier.
171 hours in a 28-day period. So
Yeah.
I think it allows you to do a lot of time during like an event or something and then still not get paid overtime and then take that. But I think it just the nature of the police officer shifts.
Yeah.
Probably.
Was that based off of when it used to be like an 8-hour day instead of the 12 hours like we're doing now?
And that could be, it isn't.
I believe you, I believe you're.
It was off the 8-hour shift. Okay,
Tell you.
yeah.
Next week we'll do 2 to 12-hour shifts, so
What's that?
it would be do 2 to 12-hour shift, right?
I would think this would be beneficial because of 12-hour shifts are working.
I think it's one of those things too, that's in the mindset of, that's the way it's always been done, so let's just keep doing it. But it honestly, it would be so much more beneficial to them and to our office to be able to streamline and do it the way the pay processes for others. Versus having to do that whole mess.
Do you know how much, I mean, I know we got a pretty extensive overtime budget. Do you know how much or roughly guesstimate how much more that would cost out of the overtime budget when we do this?
Sorry, I haven't done the math.
Okay. I don't know what the average overtime rate per officer is a year. I'm just thinking of the money part of it. I don't have an issue with that. Just thinking of the money where we're gonna come out with when we do budgeting and stuff like that later on. I don't think it'd be astronomical. I mean, the guys are still working. It's just,
I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to answer that question.
I think a lot of them too take
Comp
take
time.
comp time
Yeah.
and stuff when they.
I just looking into it as when
Yeah.
we do the budget and stuff like that, if we're gonna have to adjust our budget for next year, something like that. But I know a lot of the guys like the time off. So
Yeah.
Correct.
I get that.
All right. Any further discussion? All right.
Make a motion, we approve the dropping of the 171 hour rule for the Delphi Police Department.
Second. Slow.
All right.
You started it.
I have a motion and a second to discontinue the Delphi Police Department Rule 171 rule. All in favor, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Very good. Thank you.
Just a small comment. That'll save us a little money then because of the administrative fee. They want to spend all that time. So that is money coming back.
Time.
You
Yeah.
can do this faster.
Well, the clerk's office is every year things change, right? So there's more things added to their job descriptions and all the dynamics that we deal with the state government and everything involved. So one less headache for them is certainly beneficial because I know they are nonstop, especially on payroll week. There's a lot to it. I've learned that I do not bug the clerk's office
Well, my point
during that
is
time
when
any
you're-
more than I
you're
have to.
saving Time and you're saving money.
Yeah.
So it's not all just going one direction.
Right. All right. Next item of business is the previously discussed Morning Heights Cemetery, which you guys have in your pack. I did include it in this month's packet as well. Last month we discussed certain options that were presented by Amber and Marion's team. So this month we were going to revisit it to hopefully come up with a solution and a conclusion to get something in place and get this going. Everybody had a chance to review all the documents from the February and March meeting. Discussion from the board.
We have to make a motion first before we discuss it.
Well, I mean, there's several different options, so it's whatever one you guys want to, so what's the consensus with the board of which option to
Well,
move on?
and what I have questions.
Whichever option we decide.
But you don't get a price.
That is a different topic.
Yeah,
I do not know, but I think you had some recommendation. I think we had some.
she presented some numbers last month, so those will be incorporated with whichever direction the board chooses to move forward with.
So I guess one question is, do you all are the default for managing the cemetery? You can delegate to the Board of Works. You can create a department like you have parks departments.
I think we should delegate it to the Board of Works.
Yeah, that's one thing we discussed last time.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, we don't know anything about cemeteries. Why are we making these decisions?
And then-
There was either.
Yeah.
But I don't see an emphasis of it coming up with another board.
I
because
agree.
We're not going to find people to work it, and we're already struggling to get people to volunteer their time.
Yeah, and there's a different legislative, it is complicated if you have a separate board.
Mhm.
You have to set all that up, in the ordinances, and like you say, you have to come up with people to do it, that's like a different format. So Board of Works is already established.
And we meet twice a month anyway, so. if
It'd
there's-
be a quicker turnaround time for anything that's submitted. So I have a strong feeling that once we get a plan in place that we're probably gonna get several right off the bat. Because there's been a lot of questions on when are we gonna get something in place for the newly added plots. So
Here we already have a waiting. list.
so we'll any training or anything that's needed for the Board of Works to have knowledge of what we need to have in front of us when making any decisions, but it's not really that. It's basically they're presenting the stuff that's already been done. So
Yeah, there may be some, and maybe I didn't catch this on the, I didn't study it to refresh my memory on what's on there. There may be, if you delegate the administration to the Board of Works, you may still need to do such things such as approve a fee schedule. So that would still be within your purview, but you're correct, once you have it established, then the Board of Works can effectively run it without having to bring everything to you for approval.
So if you guys have your documents from last month, this would be attachment 2, which was if this is what the consensus of the board is to move forward with next month, we because we won't have it finalized yet, correct? So we would actually start the first reading of ordinance 2025 dash whatever number falls next for ordinances, and it states Morning Heights Cemetery and transferring governance of Morning Heights Cemetery to the Board of Works and Public Safety.
So question, Aaron, so if we do go ahead and say the Board of Works is gonna be overseeing this, would they come up with the fee schedule, and then once they approve it, the Board of Works, they'd come into council for the final approval? Is that how that would work? Or do we?
Either way, I mean, you can do top down and we'll decide and make that discussion and send it to the Board of Works, or they can make a recommendation to you, however you want to do it. It kind of depends on who wants to spend the time in developing out that fee schedule and what that looks like.
Which we discussed the fee schedule last month of what she presented, so
I think you got it.
So-
That's the current.
$50 perpetuation fee. And
In
then,
the $500 or on top of that?
on top of that. And then the current rate for opening and closing is $600. But that would be payable to the city. The city doesn't have anything to do that. That would be
the service provider,
George or whomever.
but they don't have to pick,
They-
they can pick whoever they want, right?
Yes,
So,
there's a perpetuation fee established at the same,
For at need burials.
at the burial.
so we wouldn't have to include that in our fee schedule then, correct? Because that might change per contractor, that portion of it.
Okay, too many things. Burial plot is the deed. The perpetuation fee is at deed sale or at burial.
At need burials is what what the email said. It said perpetuation fee for at need burials.
That's,
I'm like-
okay, I'm not saying it necessarily then. So the perpetuation fee goes with the plot. And the question is, when is that fee assessed? Is it assessed when you're buried or is it assessed when you buy the plot? And
I'm
that,
assuming when you buy the plot for maintenance and other things that like,
but yes, that's put in a fund and then that
Right.
fund is for used for indigent burial.
right,
Correct.
right.
And another question. Shoot. Perpetuation fee, there's a third. Oh, and you said that the other would be provided by.
That's the provider. So, yeah, so which that wouldn't be, that was my question, was that would not be included on our fee schedule because they might not pick. They might not have Alan George or whoever, so it might be a different contractor, correct? And their rates might go up from year to year to year. So that wouldn't be included in our fee schedule, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And then, what about the normal maintenance? Like mowing,
I think the perpetuation fee is supposed to cover for the maintenance and the upkeep and the whatever, so that helps cover the costs of those.
Okay, is the expectation then that the cemetery will be self-sufficient?
It's a good question.
And it may not, the problem is the previous cemetery is so mature. That I think, aren't you, where do you pay for the mowing? Is that come out of this, the city budget?
That's what we, the, one of the items we discussed.
Contract that
was-
we
Yeah,
have from-
And I noticed the contract did not include the new acreage. Who's mowing that?
It honestly, I was out there on Friday for a family funeral and it doesn't look freshly mowed. It just looks like grass that has like kind of died off a little bit. It doesn't look like it has been mowed.
I don't think it's even been seeded.
No.
You can see where they've put in the new,
They put in the
markers.
boosters.
but it didn't look like it was coming in as grass. It looked more as a field weed or whatever. So to me, it looked like it needed seeding, and
Right.
now that that's all done, the final process of, yeah,
And this kind of administration is probably something that can be taken offline to get that proposal, but those are the questions that you'll want to determine, you know, how is the money going to work for the cemetery? And then that helps drive what you need to, what you determine for the perpetuation fund and what you use that perpetuation fund for.
Mhm.
So I guess if you want to go ahead and direct your attorney to finalize the documents for presentation next meeting for the approval things that you need to do, which is the ordinances, we can get that started. And then meanwhile, we can start working on administrative documents for the Board of Works that they can use as guidance for them.
and then the fee schedule as well.
Yes, and that'll be part of it.
Okay.
What,
Would that be included into the 3 readings for the ordinance?
yes.
Okay.
And that will require publication. So
That's
if you
what-
want to pull that out and have that separate so that you don't have to publish that because it's a dollar amount, we can do that as well.
Which that's what, 3 publications? Does that have to go 3 times?
Thank you.
I think you're into
I was thinking it had to be multiple times, but
Do we, side note, do we know where, did that bill die that said that you no longer have to publish in newspapers?
I don't know. I'm supposed to be down in Indy tomorrow. I can, don't know if I'm gonna make it, but I can check. There's a lot of them that's all over the place, so I'll check on that.
With all the open stuff and everything else, everything is just like, you know what I mean? With publications and newspapers and,
Okay, do you have any other questions? Or how this is?
We went through a whole discussion last time, all kinds of issues. Like a perpetuation fee, is that something that they need to know that it could go up or down? You can figure out how much you're gonna make when you know how many lots is there anyway. And if they're all sold out, it's what you can get.
Yeah, what's the Mears has got what, 30?
20
Six.
total, and they have 36 set aside for family.
So that can be calculated to know about where you stand.
Right.
If they're all sold out. And the other thing was, we discussed it was, if somebody, it was. The city cemeteries originally, if you didn't have any money, you died, they buried you in 24 hours and put you in a fine box. Is there any special thing for somebody like that, so they wouldn't have to pay the whole fee? And the other thing we talked about was, you don't want somebody coming there and buying them all up because it's a decent price. So is there some kind of limit? I'm just bringing those up so that when they talk about it, it's out of our hands in this, but just want to make sure that's all covered in the future with the Board of Works or whoever handles that.
Yeah, because I know what we've visited so far is a lot more than what we had in place currently, which has been for,
Well, and.
so I don't know
I've never
that,
seen paperwork other than what's in the ordinance, so I don't know if there ever was a administration paperwork or if it was just Leanne's ledger.
I don't know, that book is so old and some of the things are not filled in there, but I do know their beginning price was like $8 for a plot.
it tells you it's been a long time since
And it
the,
Is this
hasn't
some-
ever wavered or changed, so
Is this something that we can restrict basically for residents of Delphi? Or have been residents, if we can trace back to when they lived here, stuff like that? So we keep it for resident, like citizens of Delphi use.
I think you probably can. I can look into that.
Okay.
I mean, all of your concerns are valid in terms of.
Because I'm with, well, I don't want someone to come in here and be like, oh, it's only $500 and buy the remaining 100 plots or whatever we have left. That's, I think that's not what it's meant for. That's not what that cemetery is meant for.
They're all running out of room. The Army Road, that one's filling up, so that would probably be something that would happen just because of the limited space with cemeteries.
They may do some restrictions on who can actually buy the plot. Obviously, if there's a citizen that passes away and doesn't have money, it's just abrupt and nowhere to do with them. That's one thing, but having someone come in to buy just to buy. Yeah.
And then how many do you want to set aside for indigent burials?
Yeah, because you don't know, the Mears have 36 right off the bat, but you don't know if a family's gonna say, hey, we want to buy for all our family, which is,
Spencer, I don't disagree with you by any means, but just as a scenario.
Mhm.
So like, I have family members that are buried there, like my grandparents, aunts and uncles. I had an uncle and an aunt that actually lived in Kokomo, so they were not citizens of Carroll County. But because my grandfather and grandmother and another aunt and uncle were buried there, they also bought plots. So when you say that, you know what I'm saying, you have some extended family that want to stay together. Would that be a stipulation that you could consider?
I think family or resident. I mean, we want to keep it to the folks that, originated from here. So,
Wanted to throw that
That's
out
something
there.
we can- put in language.
Look and see if that's something that you can do. There's surely stuff out there that helps what you're concerned about.
The other thing is comparable. Yeah, I mean, maybe you could just look at a few other cemeteries and see how they run and what they charge. How they limit theirs.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a lot of them that's gonna be owned by a municipality though, right? Like this one's unique in the fact that the city owns it, not a private.
They still give you a price range though.
Right.
And a lot are nonprofits or church-based, and there's a cemetery organization, and I talked with their executive director a couple times on other projects. And they're very helpful, so they can help with some of that logistics and.
Okay,
Sort of.
yeah, this is a pretty
That's why we
complicated.
said,
Oh, well,
move it to a group to handle that because it is a lot.
all right, any further discussions from the board? So the consensus is to direct Miriam to finalize the proposed ordinance for the May meeting, as well as a fee schedule, and present first reading in May.
It's also going to go to the board of works.
yeah.
That's going to be part of the process, but yeah, so that we had to do the 3 readings to get it approved first, plus the publication.
It can be shared with them so that if Board of Works has any specific questions that
Sure.
pertains to how they're going to operate, they can share that with the council, and we can make sure that those are addressed.
So your publication, are you needing before you do the ordinance to pass it to the Board of Works? Or are you needing it after the Board of Works gets it passed to them to be able
Well,
to do the stipulations?
that, okay, which one, which,
The publication for the newspaper. Prior to the ordinance, handing it over to the Board of Works or initiating the Board of Works, or prior to Board of Works making any, like.
well, that's why I was going to suggest we pull out the fee schedule as a separate pathway. So you can go ahead and approve the ordinances for the operations, and then the fee schedule can go along the path of normal fee schedules, which require that publication.
Okay.
That makes sense, everybody?
Yep. Do we have to make a motion as this?
No, you were directed.
Yeah, we
Richard
did.
To do a thing.
Yep.
Yep.
That's sum that up. All right, any further discussion? Morning Heights Cemetery proposal?
No.
Nope. If now, here's your chance. It's very complicated. I did some research, and it kind of just keeps going. Every time you click on something, you learn a little bit more. So
I will throw my 2 cents in, I guess. I still think 500 is a little slim.
Yeah,
There
that's
was a number of 700 brought up.
I think.
I brought, we want to make it a
800
to where people can, not break the bank to bury a loved one. So it's one of those where it's a double-edged sword where we want to recapture what funds we have as a government, but also make it to where it's something that the citizens can afford. Because there's nothing cheap in the funeral business. So, obviously we want to recapture what we've got in it, but at the end of the day, keep it to where we're still helping the citizens. So that's your guys' decision with so on top of that, for the fee schedule, do we need to make sure we have an amount now, or are we going to do that? I
We
mean,
need a
I don't want to
fee
draw this out after we get everything done and then now we have to go through the fee schedule part. So, because we're going to have people come in once this is adopted and in place, they're going to come in. If we don't have a fee schedule or we have to do another ordinance or whatever, it's going to hold things up after we've had this part finalized.
So
So,
if you'd like to direct me to draft language a certain direction, that action does not need to be published. It's once we have a document for you to submit that has to be published. So you can direct me to go a certain direction. It sounds like you have something of a difference of opinion here. So I think what the original was 500 and 175.
500, 150, 150.
Okay. Or 800 to 200.
What's the consensus of the board for the fee schedule?
We should check and see what other cemeteries are charging, because if somebody lives in town and they're looking for a plot, they can go check them
Well,
all. If we're just way cheaper than anybody else.
These numbers were given to us from representatives that are in this business, no one in particular, but it was a ballpark of what we're doing. So we didn't just pull a
So
number.
we-
So we can,
Supply and demand, not a lot of supply, a lot of demand for these. We're not, we have a lot of significant costs in purchasing the acreage, having it plotted out. We're gonna have significant cost over the next many years maintaining it and keeping up with the cost of the previous one. So it's kind of like 500 is very cheap.
my opinion,
How many plots were there again? I'm sorry.
120 total.
minus
36.
36,
Minus 36.
correct.
Can't we direct her to check that out?
Yes.
Make sure that- We went through this last time and it's.
I can
going,
send some
going.
emails and find out. Like our other cemeteries are in here, like the Oddfellows and the Masonic and see what the general, if that will help you. Maybe this is.
And ultimately, we want to put that into a formula to recapture the funds and then the fund for maintenance and all that. So,
Although if I could lean into what Cody was saying, the local price point might be artificially low
Mhm.
if it is not raised in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, what would?
I mean, it was $8 for this one,
Yeah,
so if
yeah.
those have not raised, here you are again with that low threshold, never being raised up as time went past.
To what Marshall was.
Right, right.
That's why the limit on how many somebody can just come in and buy, because like, oh, shoot, this is a great opportunity to make money. I'll just buy them all and then raise the price.
well, I'm surprised that didn't happen with them being $8.
Well, I don't think anyone knew. That's the whole thing.
Right. So
The nice little secret that was kept
yeah,
away. that no-
$8 is, wow. That tells you how long it's been since it's been revisited. So,
I want to check in to limit transfers, because I'm not sure that if you limit it to 10 plots, well, I can buy 10 plots and my spouse can buy 10 plots and my kid can buy 10 plots. I mean, I think you can game the system so that your limitations are not really very helpful.
Well, if you got, say a family of, somebody got 4 or 5 kids and say they're gonna have 2 or 3 kids each, you could get to 30 or 40 plots for them. Somebody could say, if you had like the ancestry thing.
So I'm not sure
That's
how
the limit
you,
on.
I know you want to prevent commercial reselling and.
Sure.
Like ticket scalping. But I'm not real sure how you do that.
yeah, because diving into how do we prove that the whatever submitted is truly their family without diving into, we're not going to have
Did you put
that.
a limitation on any transfers for a number of years? So like you buy this and you cannot transfer it to somebody else for 30 years. So that, like, that is really good. That would really disincentivize anybody from trying to offload those because they're not. gonna be
Or
able to transfer
sometimes.
them. So I don't know if that's a thing. I doubt it, but
Well, and then if intentions change, so for example, my grandfather purchased 4 plots. Him and his spouse and his 2 daughters, one of whom is my mother. And my father passed away first, and so my aunt gave her spot to my father, so my mother could be buried next to him, and she followed several years later, so. Now, my aunt doesn't have a place to be buried, but she wants to be buried with her spouse who is buried someplace else, so. You get that kind of mobility, when you have intentions and to think for family plots, and that's, and you had alluded to that earlier. I can do some checking, I probably will call the cemetery association guy to see if he's got any recommendation on that. Since he's kind of the top in the industry, he might have some suggestions on how that's managed.
That's what needs to happen. Check with people that's, because it's just a bag of worms. So we're not the only ones with that problem.
No.
There's somebody.
Just the final number, we're gonna have 84 plots. That's what we're going into after.
A family could buy
Yeah.
30 of those can be.
Yeah, and then we're up against the wall again already.
Just have Mary look into it for us.
And did you do the math on 84 plots times?
If I did 84 plots,
650.
so I did, what we paid for it was 24,000. That the city ended up paying for it, so 24,000 divided by 84 is 285.71 is the very minimum, and that's just the purchase because of 24,000 to recoup that, but that's not.
and
including
what do we
maintenance.
pay to plot it? 40?
I thought it was 20, it was 24.
I think that was times 2. That was per acre, wasn't it?
Pretty sure it was 40,000.
Yeah.
So
Yes, I think that was times
you
2.
got
That was
60
per acre.
just in- That's not including main service.
Yeah, oh yeah, so.
So we're already breaking even. at
And then plus however many you want to set aside for indigent.
Indigent, so you gotta take that out of it too.
I would really could reconsider the $500. Just saying.
Well, yeah,
Like you said, it's supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
If we keep the price up and where we can update it when we need to, and it's pretty even with everybody else, nobody's gonna just run in there and try to.
So what I'm hearing is we probably should have got an option on another 2 acres.
No, I don't want to get to that point yet. We haven't figured out the first 2 acres. So, but at least we'll have a plan in place of when we get to that. Well,
This one out there.
yes. Yeah, we've made a lot of progress from what it is now to what it's going to be, right? So obviously $8 was probably back in I don't even want to take a stab at whatever date this was put into place because there was,
Or the turn of the century.
I would say
Lots.
probably early 1900s or whatever. So we've come a long way. We're doing the right thing by talking about it and discussing the options. We want to make it peaceful and as easy as we can for the families, but ultimately we have to figure out all the.
So do I have?
You're gonna check all those things out.
Yeah.
That's-
Did you want me to make something up?
So at minimum for the May meeting, can we at least have Marion present us with an ordinance to start first reading to get that going and if possible, that way we have that part done. I mean, there's a lot more to this than just saying that we're not gonna have a board, we're gonna shove it to the Board of Works and be done with it. There's a lot of dynamics to it, but it's the consensus of the board, so whatever you wish to.
Something other than what we've discussed tonight, I will tell you why.
And you're gonna call that guy.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be a big deal.
Maybe you stay undirected to do that, right?
Yeah, yes.
You need to give her an order. Is that what you
You don't have
said?
to have you can just tell me, you don't have to vote on it.
Or however you said it earlier. I'm like, that sounds, I'm not saying that. I'm not gonna be that blunt with you.
Correct your attorney
Yeah.
to do it.
Sounds stern, didn't it?
Wasn't a
Too close
motion
to
made
say
for
anything.
anything, right?
No, no action item needed, so. All right, any further discussion on the Morning Heights Cemetery progress and moving forward?
I feel like I motion to table this for next.
You don't really have anything.
No, we don't have anything, we haven't put anything on the plate
The
yet.
ordinance really says draft.
Fair.
All right, very good. Last chance for Morning Heights. Any further discussion? All right. Moving on. Next item of business is Under new business, it's going to be proposed ordinance 2025-2 cumulative capital fund. This is something that Julie last year in one of her conferences, I believe, early in the year, learned several items on, and one of which is we do not have. So, Julie,
We're one of the few that does not have it. It was on the conference when I asked about it. Said with the Senate Bill 1 coming through, the possible loss of revenue, that this cumulative capital fund, development fund would be a good thing for us to look into for revenue purposes, especially if we're going to be losing it through Senate Bill. And when the girl that presented it, like did Carroll County, she said, you are losing about $80,000 a year of revenue unless you consider doing it. So it'd be like $80,000 worth of revenue built up over time, not automatic. And this with this fund proposal.
if you've ever seen the county dockets, it's a cum cap fund. That's the same thing, but obviously for the city of Delphi. So
She just suggested presenting it to you for consideration.
so we send it to.
31st.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. There is a deadline to put this in place. So last year we tried, but with the trial, we did not get it on a docket in time. So here we are. So any further questions to be directed towards Clerk Treasurer Price or Miriam or general discussion? So
So you're gonna go ahead and publish it. Yes.
Yes, I sent it for them to publish it in on the 16th for Amber.
And then you
which
have
that is that the one that has to be,
Good. Yes, we're working on two. This is our side. And then we've got fire torch rates and other.
okay, that's where, yeah. So essentially, we don't need to do anything now until after publication.
Correct. It's introduced to you today. It will be published, notice published
The
twice.
16th and
Public
then,
hearing will be May. And then, you can also do final adoption at that time.
okay, yeah. Consensus of the board. Sound good? We don't need to vote on anything this evening then. Okay, and she's already got the ball rolling with the comment, so thank you for that. All right, very good. Moving on, next item of business is going to be proposed resolution 2024-4, which is transfer of funds. If you remember last year, right? First of all, I spoke to, or we corresponded with Miriam on this earlier today, and it's the transfer from the rainy day that the state allows you to do out of your general fund. And Miriam brought up a good point today of doing it later in the year, which we can hopefully do in moving down the road. But at this point, with our rainy day being where it's at, I felt it was a good time to do it to get some funds built back up into that. We've had to utilize it quite a bit for the Front Street project, which we made our last payment out of. So Miriam was absolutely correct on waiting towards the end of the year. It would be different funds, different options. It's still under the general fund, but there was different. You want to explain that part to the board?
So you've got your budget levy and in all of those different categories, what you do not spend at the end of the year, what you do not spend from any of those line items, up to
Can also-
10% of your budget can go into the rainy day. For some reason, the cities had a habit of doing it early in the year. And you would know historically, if there's ever been a problem with you running out of money in the line items that you glean to put in the rainy day fund this time of year. That would be your only concern in doing that.
We had that discussion this morning in our office after,
Yeah.
we had conversed. And Amanda said before as it's always been done in April. So another one of those cases where, well, that's what it's always been
Yeah,
done.
that's all we always.
So, yeah, so, cause I asked her, I said, has this ever been done, like later in the year? She goes, I've been here 4 years, and she said it's been done in April every year.
Well, and that was my question to Leanne in a meeting as a side note. Hey, why are you doing it now?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we've always done.
Yeah. And it went from 15% to 10%. So it's,
Yeah, 50% was during COVID. They did that.
Yep.
And as long as far as you can tell, it doesn't, the issue would be is if you ran out of money in a section of your budget toward the end of the year, where you could just transfer between accounts, you would have to do an additional appropriations to fund whatever you were overspent.
Right, with
You can't go backwards.
right,
So if you're comfortable with that, that is
Yeah.
fine.
So-
But like I had recommended you probably have a look
Waiting.
well, at least if you need to do it now, that's fine, but if you need, maybe kind of think about pushing this back in, as you go forward in next year's.
yeah, it's ultimately the board's decision, so the current balance in the rainy day fund is three,
Like 783 what's left in current budget.
so
The rainy day fund currently has 337,348.50
Yep.
in it due to the first draw. Over 400,000 and the second draw of 156 for the intermediate.
which we're not using this anymore for the Front Street. The decision was made to take the rest out of the general reserves. So what's been used for rainy day that's done. So again, the reason why I presented this was just the balance of where we are and hoping that there's no emergency or anything that we need to dip into our rainy day. So if the board's comfortable with where it's at and want to hold off till the end of the year, that's certainly your discretion. That's why I wanted to make sure you at least had it in front of you. Again, it's not just because it's always been done in April. It's just, you can do it anytime during the year, but that's certainly your guys' decision. So,
I think we should wait. Just to see, I mean, if it's always been done in April, why? Let's wait a couple months to see where we're sitting at,
Get the balance after the payment.
the 360, whatever.
The balance after the two draws that we had, the rainy day fund currently has $337,348.87 in
yeah,
it.
that's after that. Those have been approved and paid. Yep. So the last payment for GM was correct. That's the balance after that. So those checks have been distributed. So again, that's the last payment from the rainy day. The rest will come out of the general reserves. So. Consensus. Yep. So this is not something that has to be, again, I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of it.
And
So-
Baker Tilly said the same thing, you can transfer it. to them here.
And I don't have anything forecasted that's gonna entail diving into the rainy day fund no more. The reason why it was utilized was because of the projects we had before, that were currently in progress. So there's nothing forecasted that I have planned that is gonna say we're gonna have to dip into rainy day. So rainy day, in my opinion, is a fund that needs to be, that's your backup, that's your emergency plan, right? We never know what Mother Nature is gonna bring us. So,
Got that right.
yeah, so, comfortably, I'd like to, at some point, get the rainy day build up to a much larger number and have that cushion of if anything happens, we have it there. And not just skimming by, which we've used a lot because it's of the projects, which that's perfectly fine, but the goal is to ultimately get it up to over 1 million or 2 million to have that extra comfort of you might need it and here it is. So
So how do we build that out?
we can do it at budget time or we can do it later in the year with this 10%. Again, they took it from 15 to 10%. So
Budget rainy day.
No, it's just out of the transfer, the 10%,
Yeah, you
I
can
thought.
budget Q cap, which is. why
you
do-
can, what did we do last year? That's where I got confused was we did something last year on,
We put the 15% last year.
We did,
but
yeah.
That was the last of it.
right, that was a COVID 15%,
Yeah.
but yeah, so again, we just, unless it's absolutely needed, we just need to stay out of it. That's kind of the way you can build it up.
And transfer as much as possible within your budget.
Yep.
Or, you can always do it for whatever your general fund has in and over your budget amount. You can always do it an additional appropriations for a thing. So if you've got the
To put-
cash, there's a way to get to it, not necessarily rainy day.
Right. Just more of a process. Yep. Okay, is the consensus of the board to hold off on this until later on in the year and then revisit?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
So no action.
No action, correct. Sorry, I'm trying to get used to these new glasses. It's still not working. All right, the next item of business is the proposed resolution 2025-5, which is the interlocal agreement between the city of Delphi and the town of Camden for the citizen gun safety course, which Sergeant Parkinson has put a lot of work into with a grant. And Sergeant Parkinson, could you explain to, you don't want to be on the spot, I know, I can see it in your face. You went white all of a sudden. So, yeah, can you give us the council a brief overview of one, your grant efforts for the gun safety and the purpose of this resolution? No pressure.
Operator public speaking.
Okay.
So I applied for a grant from NIPSCO and Carroll County Health Department, asking for them to fund a gun safety course for all citizens of Carroll County. Those grants were approved and it allows for both myself to train the citizens of Carroll County on gun safety, and also allows for a professional trainer to come in and assist me with that training. So this is this course will be 4 times this year. And the insurance company asked for an agreement between the town of Camden and city of Delphi, since part of the course will be held at the gun range in the town of Camden.
Yep. Any further questions for Sergeant Parkinson?
So what do you gotta do to qualify to go with the class?
Oh, there's a form, I just put together a form last night, so you'll have to apply. And part of the process is, it's first come, first serve. I'll take a total of 40 people throughout the entire year. And there's an application process where you must swear and affirm that you've not been convicted of any domestic violence. You're allowed to carry a handgun. You're not prevented by law to carry a handgun, and a few other things along those lines.
So the town of Camden voted on theirs earlier this month, or was it in March? Last month, and so it was approved. So this will be March 12th. Yeah. Yeah. So would the approval of our resolution go hand in hand with theirs, or do we need to sign theirs as well?
They brought it over to me,
Okay, so what signatures are required on theirs?
like the board.
Okay, so it's all gonna be under that okay. To prove. Yep, and that's what you guys have in front of you for today, so. Any further questions for Sergeant Parkinson?
Like it. Awesome.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, it's a motion to approve resolution 2025-5, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Delphi, Indiana, approving the interlocal agreement between City of Delphi and the town of Camden concerning the citizen gun safety course.
Second.
All right, very good. Any further discussion or questions from the board? All right, hearing none. All in favor of approving resolution 2025-5, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Delphi, Indiana, approving the interlocal agreement between Delphi and the town of Camden concerning the citizen gun safety course, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant Parkinson and Chief Mullen.
I do have a question for you.
I have an answer.
Is there a cost for the citizens?
I'm sorry if I didn't
No,
say
that's
that.
okay. I just didn't, in case somebody were to ask.
No, this is a free course
Okay.
offered for all the citizens of Carroll County, and they're paid for entirely by grant.
Okay,
Nice. Good question.
figured somebody would be in my office asking.
All right, that is all the business items for this evening. I got a couple announcements. I mentioned in the Board of Works meeting that Mayor Sims and I read two proclamations last Thursday for support of National Child Abuse Awareness Month and as well as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We read those at the First Assembly of God. Very good crowd. It was hot and a lot of people. I think there's a lot more this year than there was last year. So the way this works is 1 year, it's a joint proclamations between Carroll and White County, the Indiana Youth Institute, the YWCA. There's several youth providers, mental health providers. There's a big group that do a lot of networking. So it's a good event and proud to support that. We'll also be doing one in May on the Madam Carroll. And I believe that one is, gosh, there's so many of them. But anyway, I'll show that to you guys next month after we get that finalized. The city of Delphi was awarded $1.5 million for the CCMG project that we've been working on for some time. So I know that it was about at the time of the last meeting that I think it was right after that. It didn't get to make the official announcement to the council. So those have been put in the paper for bid. We don't know if we've received any bid. We're getting questioned on it. So hopefully we get some good bids and we can move forward. Unfortunately, last year we did not. And this year we'll get caught back up on several items. So other than that, just busy with construction and a lot of things kicking off because hopefully winter will be out of here soon. So, any board comments? Clerk Treasurer Price.
So let's know that Donna retired after 29 years. Last Wednesday was her last day. So we have a new utility clerk. Her name is Kim Gallion. So if you get free time, stop and see her. She's had a lot of experience dealing with public because she works in school in the front office. She also has the treasurer know-how underneath her belt as well. So today was her first day and she learned a lot already. So if you have a chance to come in and introduce yourself and welcome her to the city.
And Donna did not want any kind of party or this put out to, she wanted to keep it low key, private, and we respected that and honored that. So a lot of people didn't know about it, and that was because that was her wish. So and I certainly respect that because some people don't want to have a big party. We offered to have the pizza and the way to honor her, but she was here for a long time. I remember when I worked for the street department back in 1998. She was here, so she's seen a lot. I am old. Appreciate the reminder.
I just wanted to thank the street, water, and wastewater departments and Mayor Yates because my uncle passed away last week and they had his funeral on Friday. And the guys were lined up on the way out to the cemetery and stood with their hats in their hands while the procession went past. So he used to be a city employee, so that was really nice that the city paid their last respects to him. So I just wanted to thank the guys for all of that. That was great. The family really appreciated it.
Well,
I guess I would like to say thank you to Streets and Police for the Delphi on fire a few weeks ago when the not tornado came through.
yes,
It was a tornado, yeah.
yeah. They did a great job of getting the streets cleaned up, and it's still ongoing, right? But the south end of the city was a mess, and then of course a couple weeks later we got hit on the north end. So luckily we dodged one last Friday. Though it's supposed to be round 3, but Mother Nature is going to strike when she strikes. So the street departments and water department, they all kind of work together and go out and just get what they can. Number one goal is get the roads open, make sure everybody's safe, and then we start chipping away at what we can get each day. But nobody was hurt. That's what we're thankful for. But yes, I agree. They did a great job. Kind of the same time last year we dealt with this with Riley Road. So
My apologies, I forgot to include the police department as well. They were awesome. They led the procession all the way out to the cemetery.
yes, yep.
I didn't want to exclude them.
Yep. Again, Bill was a wonderful guy and worked for the street and water department several years ago. So nice way to honor him. Any public comments? Mr. Walton.
I'm here representing the Carroll County Economic Development Corporation. And
just wanted to bring you up to speed. We are in the process of doing our strategic plan. And we're reaching out to you folks to get your input, because you are a stakeholder. And Jennifer Barclay with HWC has reached out to a sprinkling of you folks. We want a sampling for now to get your input on April 17th, and I encourage you to either attend or assign another council member to attend in your place. That's the morning of April 17th.
What time was that?
I think it's at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock?
What?
No, that's seven o'clock.
7:30, 7 or 7:30.
Here, let me look it up.
There's breakfast.
In the morning?
Because wasn't there an actual meeting that Friday, or was this on a Friday or a third?
It's a Thursday,
this is
and
a
it's
Friday.
at 7 o'clock,
At 9 or 7 in the morning?
7 in the morning.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is gonna be in lieu of our regular meeting that's on a
Yeah,
Friday. Okay, because I seen it on my calendar. I want to make sure that I didn't.
So we didn't, we're just getting a sprinkling of input from, we didn't invite everybody. But then the next round, everybody will be invited, okay? But we want to make sure you are represented fully this time, so if you are not able to attend, please pass the hat to someone else to do it for you.
Ken, where's it at?
Opera House.
Opera
Opera House.
House, yeah. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Other than what's for breakfast, I don't know. But do you have any other questions for me regarding that or anything else that Carroll County Economic Development is doing? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right. Any further public comments? Carolyn? All right, there's one last motion.
Motion adjourned.
I have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All in favor of adjourning the April 7th common council meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Common council is